I'm Emily Green. I'm the Heritage Collections Manager here at the University of Sheffield. I'm standing in the main hall on level 5 in Western Bank Library in front of an artwork from the University Heritage Collection called Graduation by Diana Springall. Graduation is a unique textile art installation designed and made by artist Diana Springall, who is a member of the Embroiderers Guild, teacher and an artist. She's now in her 80s but is still very active in this discipline. This large-scale textile work of art consists of an appliqué technique of embroidery. This work is one of many of the artworks created by a female artist which make up thousands of objects in the University Heritage Collection which have been acquired since 1905. This particular work offers an insight towards a fine example of public art and an important contribution to the University Heritage Collection.
The first, I guess, imperative with the University Heritage Collections is to conserve them, to ensure that they are properly catalogued, properly stored, properly cared for, restored or renovated as appropriate, that those that can be made use of are made use of, and that that's done safely and with appropriate safeguards.
The graduation textile piece was commissioned by the University Convocation in 1987 and was unveiled on the 11th of November 1988 by Sir Hugh Casson, who is a known British architect, interior designer and artist. Graduation has been in place on the back wall on the level 5 main hall of Western Bank Library, where it has been a permanent feature and focal point since its inception in 1987. The space on the wall was identified by the Heritage Committee and Convocation as being a suitable place for a commissioned work of art to mark the centenary of the foundation of Firth College, which is one of the university's predecessors. The area was also chosen due to the Western Bank Library being an important part in the life of all students that come to study here at the university.
The graduation textile has become part of the fabric of the University Library. It's a Grade 2 listed building. It's the first post-war university library that was started in the 1940s. It's an important building.
Although Diana had worked on and completed other large-scale textile commissions, this textile wall hanging is very unique and was a special commission specifically designed by Diana. Originally, the brief given to Diana was to create something joyous and thoughtful by depicting a garden scene and bringing elements of Weston Park into the library. Diana thought of this but then changed her mind towards a depiction of students walking proudly in their academic gowns. Her thoughts of this subject was around the reason why people come to university, to get a degree and graduate. This idea was backed by the then librarian Michael Hannon, who played a key part in the commission and installation. The entire work measures 40 feet long by 8 feet high, which is 12.3 by 2.5 metres. The textile is a machine appliqué of Dupion cloth, which is made up of polyester fabrics with the addition of silk and other lightweight materials. It is split into 7 panels ranging from 70 cm to 190 cm wide. The textile is then trapped between 2 sheets of perspex, which is then fastened onto a timber framework which is attached to the wall. To safely dismantle such a large and complex structure, specialist art technicians MoMArt have been commissioned to remove the graduation textile installation.
There were a few surprises when we started to take it apart with the sliding of the stretcher and things like that. And I think that had been discussed by the artist. It was actually quite interesting to realise that the original carpenter that installed it had some good methods of putting it up. I believed he worked on his own with just kind of basic help from the librarian staff. It was quite impressive the way it had been done, but I think over time things had kind of changed with the structure and it created its own problems.
Professor Jill Valentine is the Provost and Deputy Vice-Chancellor here at the University and is also the Chair of the Heritage Collections Advisory Panel. Professor Valentine has been invited to oversee some of the removal and conservation work and to speak with textile conservator Melanie Leach about the work involved to clean and conserve the textiles and how the structure was held together.
And you can see here that...
Yes, where the stitching's going in places.
And what happens, what I realise, is that you have these panels of the machine-stitched applique. But if you think practically, there's only so much fabric you can get on your sewing machine. So they've had to build up the panels by making them in sections, and then the sections are hand-stitched together.
It took 10 days for Diana and her assistant, former student Pat Taylor, to make the entire textile at Diana's home in Kent. This was during the Great Storms in 1987, where the power supply was lost due to the storm, and so Diana and Pat had to sew by candlelight and had the sewing machines hooked up to a car battery to give power to the machines.
Just out of interest, we have some of the documentation that she sent through to Emily. Yes, this was her when all the 7 panels were completed. And she needed to use the village hall because it's 11.5 metres, 40 foot,
oh gosh, yes.
to lay them out. So in her studio, she didn't know how.
Yes, because she didn't have enough space to see how it was coming together.
Yes, so this is her fitting them together just to see how they flow. But then, of course, they are interrupted on the wall by the columns. They're made up of tubes of...
And is it folded? I mean, it looks like it's just sort of folded in layers.
Yes, it's the fabric. It's just a piece of fabric, and then it's sandwiched between 2 layers of the PVC, and then rolled around and machine stitched to make a tube. Here you can see the machine stitching that goes through the PVC, and so you have the 2 layers of the PVC with the textile in the middle, machine stitched down to make a tube.
The perspex is formed to create a wave pattern which contributes to the overall effect of the figures walking in procession and created to give the vision of movement and passing of time.
I think Graduation by Diana Springall is one of the jewels in the university's collection. I think it's a lovely piece of work commissioned for this particular position in the university library in the catalogue hall. I particularly like the movement in the piece and the fluidity of it and the way your eyes follow the figures as they appear to move across the textile. I like the informality, the way the figures group together, the fact they're not wearing caps, and even though they're interrupted by the faculty colours, it's not a formal piece at all. I think it really captures the joy of graduation, which is the culmination of a university career.
Graduation has been at the University of Sheffield for over 30 years. It has never been removed, but a small area of silks were replaced in 1996 after a water leak. The major project in 2021 to remove the entire work, conserve the textile material and reinstate the whole structure with new perspex so that it is put back to its former glory and true representation of colours. This work of art will continue to be a feature for the rest of the student generation to contemplate, enjoy and depict themselves as being part of the graduation ceremony.
We work with tapestries a lot, and that was what I originally thought it was going to be like, but it's completely different from that. So yeah, it's a bit of a unique project.
Even though it's sad to see it taken down, it's much more joyful that we'll be able to look at it for generations to come and years to come as an integral part of the cataloguing hall.